Hello everyone, welcome to episode 7 of Megaman 03. In the last part, we destroyed Copy X and started the next of the, did the first of the next 4 Vials numbers. And now we're moving on to my favorite design of them all, Cubit Foxstar. Although her level's a bit of a pain. Also, this is where I start to die. Because in this part, there's like 3 deaths. No, 2. And I also sorrowfully lose my A rank that I've had for the entirety of the game until now. Which makes me sad, because that means I'm going to have to use one of the cyber elves that makes me get an A rank. Which will demote me all the way to F. Because there's one EX skill I have yet to get by the end of this. Now this level, you're gonna need the electric chip in a lot. In case you didn't, I didn't even mention earlier, but those mods will flock to the lights once you hit the poles with electricity, which you're going to need to do if you want to get by without getting hit. So if you're going for low damage rating, you're gonna need to do that. That's some some bitter coffee. Still good though. But this level, in my opinion, is a bit brutal in some factors, mostly because those cannons can be very hard to avoid at times. Sometimes more often than others. And now we have the mission completion for this, which is putting these rods into these holes. I don't know if you can, but I believe you can just skip these entirely, although that lowers your mission ranking, so I don't know why you would do that. Once you get them all, once you get them all in, it automatically stops and you can progress without getting damaged. I'm gonna turn on my TV really quick. I'm not sure why, but the sprite for that rod reminds that little thing that, I don't know what it's called, the yellow thing that comes out of the ground. It reminds me of something else, but I don't know what. But anyway, we have the mini-boss here, and this is actually what I consider to be the hardest mini-boss in the entire game, mostly because there's a lot going on here. You have the 3 spike enemies going around the walls and floors, so you need to stay off those. Then you have this guy who will do a fire and ice attack depending on his rotation. And I'm not sure why, but the green eye on this thing reminds me of Rangda Bangda from X1. Remember him? The giant face thing? Then again, I can actually see why I would think that, because the Zero series does seem like it should have a lot of throwbacks, doesn't it? Anyway, we got a secret disc right there. Fairly easy to miss if you're just rushing through the level. But the best way to progress through this little section here with all the insta-death is to get on the very tip where one foot's hanging off and then just spam the buster. You should get through fairly painlessly. Then again, this entire game is pretty easy to get through painlessly. That's only if you know what you're doing, though. Because this game is not good on beginners. Even though, what's really odd is I think this was actually the very first Mega Man Zero game I beat, but I'm not too sure about that. I may have beaten 01 very shortly before. But I'm not too sure about that, because I can't remember which one I beat first. Either way, I just know I love them. hidden secret disc right there, not too hard to miss if you're paying attention to the environment. If you're not, though, you might have missed that one, and if you're going for 100% completion, that actually may be the one you're missing. However, the most dickishly hidden one is not until that stage, or the stage we'll be taking on next part. Actually, one thing I really find out about this point in the game is that the stages get much longer because, well, we're still doing two stages apart at around a little over 15 minutes. Had I been doing this, had I started doing Let's Plays 2 years ago, I'd say, it would have taken a lot longer to do one. Like, Megaman 01 wouldn't have been like 5 parts, probably would have been like 12. Due to the 10-minute time limit. Back when YouTube had a time limit. Or at least for non-partners. Which thankfully we are. Thank you, Patrick. Actually, I'm thinking I just realized this section might actually be might be a throwback to 01 in the factory with the girders that you have to stand on top of. But that might be a very loose reference. I'm not too sure about it. But we're at the boss. What's this?
Hey, you weren't supposed to see this place. This is a Dark Elf copy factory. We've got copies of Dark Elves sleeping here. In other words, baby elves. We had the factory sealed off so nobody'd get suspicious. Now you've done it. I'll have to ensure you remain silent about this. Forever. I am Cubit Foxstar, member of Vile's Numbers. I'll make sure you never talk again.
Why did you unveil all that information to me? What if I were to just escape? I could go by easily, and no one would ever notice. Anyway, don't be an idiot like me. If you get low on health, use a sub-tank. What's the odds? I usually kill her by the time that happened, too. I guess maybe for my New Game Plus. Which I forgot to mention, the Zero series does have a New Game Plus. And it is amazing. If I am defeated, this room will cease functioning, and the copies will all die. There will be no proof. Nobody will know the truth. And anyway, we don't actually need the baby elves. The Dark Elf alone will be enough to take care of the Reploids. I can already see it. The shining future. The new world Lord Vile is about to create. And I see you, wallowing in the depths of despair. You know, Cubit Foxstar, while I love your character design, you are an utter bitch. Oh, thank God, my average is just barely over. Actually, I wonder what the entire naming scheme behind all the code names is. Like, what do they take into account? Speedster, like, probably taken into, like, account, but, like, I may actually have to look that up. What was he planning to do with all those elves? That's a good question. But anyway, for defeating here, we get the double jump chip, which is the second best chip in the game, actually. Went out there so I could check out on some secret disc stuff. Oh lord. Sorry, I'm looking at the TV. It's my favorite episode of this particular show. But we just went into the next mission, which is actually my least favorite mission in the game. The Mini Arcadia level may have a lot of spikes, but it's not hard overall. It's just tense without instant death, but this is just annoying. And the thing is, it's not that the level itself is hard, it's the gimmick that can be a bit of a pain. Both of them. The first half of the stage has this water that we're about to see, which gets electrocuted once it reaches a certain level. And but around this point, it'll probably do a fourth of my health bar. That's the pain about doing limited runs of this series, is that you can get killed really quickly. Like, the final boss would probably be able to kill me in 2 hits. Anyway, up here you got a, what's it called? Secret disc and some health. Which is fairly useful. There's secret discs all over the place, actually. And again, that's the truth for all the levels. And I just realized we've only been playing for around an hour. Well, I was about to say, that doesn't make sense because each of the parts would go over an hour. I guess cutscenes don't count for playtime. Unlike certain games, I'm looking at you, Final Fantasy 9, that Excalibur 2. I might as well explain it now, because, well, even though I'm going to get to Final Fantasy 9 at some point, the Excalibur 2 is a sword that you can only get if you get to the final area of a 20-hour game within around 3 hours. How the hell did people find that thing? And I completely forgot those spikes were there. Anyway, up here we got another secret disc, and we're getting to the second gimmick of it. The second gimmick of this stage is that on this computer there are 4 matches to the data we're looking for, and they are in specific doors amongst a mess. The doors are... There's a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... There's a total of 24 doors, and that means you have a 1/6 chance of finding it, and they're randomized every playthrough. For every door you go into that's wrong, you lose 2 mission completion points. So if you go into 10 doors wrong, which is very likely, you will completely lose the mission. And they're the doors are set up in a 4x6 grid for being vertical. So I recommend you write it down and find a map of it on Google or something having to do with the door colors, then go in them in that order. Unless you actually feel like trying to memorize it. Which is not as easy as it sounds. And then we have these enemies, which go down in one slice and are just fairly harmless. You know you're entering the right door when you actually see that little thing over the door there. And I think this is actually the only boss room in the entire series that doesn't use the entire other door besides the other one. And I'm not going to be reading this dialogue because while it is important for backstory, it's not a cutscene really. The thing is, each of these rooms that you can find the data in are potential boss rooms. If you go in a certain order, you will always have the 4th one as the boss room. And personally speaking, what was I saying? Personally speaking, what am I saying? I can't remember what the word is. I like to find them in the room I was just in right now, where it's like a perfectly square room. The perfectly square room that has no spikes up top is what I mean. Sorry, the TV is rather distracting me. Because the 4th room, because there's no spikes, there's pretty much no hazards to it, and it makes it very simple and easy to go around for the boss fight. All the other ones have some sort of hazard or to pit to them that makes them a bit harder to traverse. I like to make the boss as easy as I can. And I actually did write down notes for which doors I was going into, so that's why I'm seeing a bit distracted. And time for the boss after we get the, I want to say it's the Dark Elf data? No, Biles. And I think the TV was distracting me at that point too. And time for the boss. Who dares intrude upon my territory? Zero. So it's you. I just completely changed his voice within 2 lines of dialogue. I am Voltil Biblio. A vial's number 3 lines. What is that you've got there? Give that data back now. Voltil is an annoying boss if you don't use the ice ship or if you're in any of the other rooms. Because he constantly travels through these holes and peeps his head out of one, while his tails, which somehow stretch all the way to another hole, send electric balls at you. But if you use the ice chip, you can take him down in like 6 hits, which is pathetic. And usually by the time he gets this, he's pretty much dead.
What's up with you? You're opposing Lord Vile? Aren't you afraid of him? You're crazy. Yeah, I'm melting.
And this is where sadness struck me. Starts off pretty strong until all this happens. 54 points, 85. 85 average I can live with, but the thing is, an A rank to get the next, which I would need to get the next EX skill, is 86 average. I'm either gonna need to raise my average or something else for the next one, but I'm gonna have to end things off here. Thank you guys for watching, rate, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and I will see you guys next time on Mega Man 03. See you guys then. My perfect A ranks. No.